It was a sweltering afternoon when he, a delivery driver, pulled into the gate of a high-security tech company. The building looked like a fortress, sleek glass, security cameras, and a pair of guards who checked every inch of his van before letting him through. He was delivering spare parts ordered last minute, labeled urgent. He had taught himself basic electronics back home, always tinkering, always curious. He turned back. "I know it sounds crazy," he said, "but can I just look?" She was too exhausted to argue. "Sure. What's one more disappointment?" In minutes, he pointed at a vent. "Your backup cooling system isn't sensing with the command node. It's running hot and tripping your fail-safes." The room went dead quiet. As he approached the loading dock, something was clearly wrong. Quaim answered without pause. "Your ace not reading local tone correctly. Root a manual override through the secondary node. Trick the system into thinking it's under external cooling while you reprogram the sync delay." There was a stunned silence. Someone muttered, "He's not just smart, he's a genius." "That shouldn't be possible? We've been stuck for 2 weeks. What happened?" he demanded. The engineers all pointed at Quaim. "Him. He fixed it." The CEO looked at Quaim like he was a ghost. "You? What's your name?" Even Jenna covered her mouth, tears forming. You just saved this company." Quaim stood up, brushing off his uniform. "You're no driver." "Who are you really?" Quaim smiled faintly. "I used to build things back home." Jenna added, "He saw in 5 minutes what 20 engineers missed in 2 weeks." That sentence echoed in the room. The CEO turned to the HR manager. "Get him on payroll, whatever he wants. Give it." Quaim nodded again. "I never fought for recognition. I didn't have the money or connections. If I wanted to sabotage this, I wouldn't have fixed it." He demanded to see the logs, even though some had been wiped. "You worked all night, bypassing firewall traces and writing code to trace deleted data." By morning, he had proof. But more than that, it triggered something deep in him, confidence. It felt good to be seen. When Quaim beat him to it, he tried to sabotage it and frame him. "What's that?" she asked. Quaim looked up sheepishly. "A prototype. A core AI system that self-repairs using a learning loop." That night, the once humble delivery driver walked through the company like a legend. "I want to help more," he said. "Maybe start something that helps kids who love to fix things." The CEO fired Marcus on the spot. "Quaim, you saved us again." He'd been designing it in secret for years, storing sketches in old notebooks. A competing company filed a lawsuit claiming Quaim stole their proprietary code. The board was shaken, stocks dipped. But Quaim knew it was a lie. "I started studying engineering because of you." For the first time, Quaim felt proud of the road he had walked, full of detours, but still leading somewhere great. The system began to overload. Again, people panicked. Quaim didn't. It took a delivery driver to remind us that genius doesn't wear suits. "I don't have the resources to build it," he said. Jenna smiled. "You do now." The CEO left the decision to Quaim. "You've earned this. Take the money if you want." From delivery van to genius lab, one headline read. "Let's fix it." He taught the intern how to reverse the code and stabilize the interface. Within an hour, the system was safe again. And just like that, he passed on what he had once needed: belief. Quaim Innovation Center ****. The CEO unveiled it to loud applause. Quaim just smiled, looking out the glass window where the stars reflected off the metal floors. And in doing so, rewrote what people thought was possible. Hit subscribe and stay tuned for more Taylor's thank you. But Quaim wasn't interested in fame. He kept wearing the same jacket, driving the same van occasionally just to stay grounded, he joked. But what mattered most wasn't the money or fame. Jenna stared at him for a long time. "You've just rewritten your story. He's not walking out that door unless it's to his new office. I built it to solve things others gave up on. Couldn't afford college, so I fixed old radios and computers. This time, deliberately, sensors have been manually overridden. Diagnostic logs deleted. He wasn't making a delivery, just revisiting the place he came from. As he passed familiar roads, people waved. Some recognized him. "Are you the man who fixes robots?" Quayne knelt beside him and smiled. "I fix what others think is broken." Most did it. Jenna called an emergency meeting, and all eyes turned suspiciously toward Quayne. "You're the only one with recent access. You like to solve problems quietly, without red tape or fake handshakes." But Jenna pulled him aside. "There's something you're not telling us, isn't there?" He nodded slowly. "I saw you on TV," she said, her voice trembling. "The whole village is talking about you. They knew you were special since you were a child making radios out of scrap. When I was younger, I created a neural feedback loop for motion sensors. It got stolen. I never got credit, so I gave up. Until today. Moved here for a better life. Now I drive. I was just delivering parts," he said with a smile. "There's no way a delivery guy," but then a younger programmer typed frantically into her console. "Get him a console, someone." Chairs wheeled, screens blinked, and people scrambled. The system's core, once glitching and pulsing like a failing heart, now hummed rhythmically. Robotic arms calibrated. Error lights vanished. Status monitors turned green. A digital voice echoed through the room. "System stabilized. Functionality, 97%. The same engineers who mocked Quayne now hovered around him like students before a master. He sat at a console he'd never seen before and typed as if he had designed the system himself. Another engineer, clearly panicked, ran to cross-check Quayne's theory. Jenna turned slowly to him, eyes wide. "How did you see that so quickly?" He shrugged humbly. "I've seen a similar issue with microcontrollers. Sometimes systems assume uniform cooling, but heat spreads differently in curved surfaces." "Wait," she said, her voice rising. "He's actually right. Look at this diagnostic graph." The temperature's spiking caused chain shutdowns every 17 seconds. That's exactly what he just said. It looked like a scene out of a sci-fi film. Sleek surfaces, blinking panels, mechanical arms hanging from ceilings. "Let him see. Nothing else has worked." The engineers reluctantly stepped aside as Quayne approached the machine. It was a hybrid AI reactor core linked to robotic functions across an entire product line. He tilted his head and listened, almost like a mechanic listening to an engine. Then he knelt by the power conduit. His hands hovered, his eyes locked in. And a huge spherical structure in the middle of the room surrounded by frustrated experts. "This is classified," one tech snapped. "He's just a delivery guy." Dozens of engineers were gathered in the courtyard, pacing, shouting into phones, or hunched over laptops. He wasn't one to mind other people's business, but the tension in the air was too thick to ignore. He overheard bits of conversation: system failure, core malfunction, millions down the drain. One engineer slammed a tablet on the ground and cursed, yelling, 20 of us, and still no fix." Curious, he gently asked the woman signing off his delivery, "Is everything okay?" She glanced at him, eyes weary. "Unless you're an expert in advanced robotics diagnostics, just leave the box." He nodded and started to leave, but then paused. That word, diagnostics, rang in his head. Against protocol, he was ushered past the restricted zones into the belly of the operation. The robotics lab. The woman from earlier, Jenna, apparently a team lead, waved him off. Everyone watched in silence. He reached into the delivery box he brought unbeknownst to anyone. He always carried his own toolkit and began inspecting the thermal sensors. At first, laughter erupted. One of the senior engineers scoffed. "That's not how our system works." Now no one was laughing. A technician leaned in and asked, "What would you do to fix it?" "Fix it now!" Jenna shouted, her voice cracking through the air. Within 5 minutes, the entire network interface began to stabilize. The engineers erupted in disbelief. No way. The CEO arrived within minutes. A tall, sharp-eyed man who strode into the lab like he owned the world, because he did. "Quayne," he replied calmly, "I'm a delivery driver." The CEO narrowed his eyes. The CEO was stunned. "How did we miss someone like you?" As offers poured in, Quame hesitated. He had always avoided attention. Jenna was stunned. You invented a tech used by global robotics? A week later, his resume, once a blank page with odd jobs and delivery routes, now listed him as lead systems analyst. Just when everything seemed perfect, the system began failing again. You looked hurt but calm. The real culprit? A rival engineer named Marcus, who had hoped to get a promotion by fixing the core first. He began spending nights in the lab tinkering. One night, Jenna walked in and saw blueprints scattered around him. Jenna's eyes widened. That's revolutionary. Quame had never intended to show anyone. The CEO approved the project under one condition: Quame would lead it, fully funded with his own team. Tech magazines wrote about him. News outlets featured him. Still, he couldn't deny the warmth in his chest when a young intern approached him and said, even the CEO admitted in a company town hall, one evening he got a call from his mother back home. Quame wiped his eyes. He had sent money home regularly, but this was different. Now his name was a source of pride. Not a charity, not a foundation. Just real tools and real teaching. Just as things calmed, another crisis hit. He dug deep into their code base, breaking down line after line until he proved live on a conference call that they had stolen his. Old unpublished designs from a shared open source platform. The case was dismissed instantly. The CEO looked at him, more impressed than ever. You don't just fix problems. You expose lies. A new intern accidentally released a test drone prototype into the main server loop. He calmly took the intern aside. You made a mistake, but I've made bigger ones. Everyone clapped, but Quame pointed at the intern. He fixed it. A global tech firm offered to buy Quame's AI project for an outrageous amount. Quame thought long and hard. But in the end, he declined. I didn't build this to sell. The decision shocked everyone, but also inspired a wave of innovation and loyalty within the company. One rainy evening, Quame got back into his old delivery van. But when he stopped by an old repair shop he once worked in, a boy came running. Back at the lab, a plaque was placed above the prototype lab entrance. Asterisk, asterisk. He had come a long way from dusty roads and delivery vans to robotic dreams and systems that now powered the world. It was the fact that when 20 engineers failed, a humble delivery driver solved it all.